Hey everyone, thanks for your interest in Prairie Urban Farm and coming to join us as a volunteer for the 2021 season. My name is Deborah Davidson. I'm the director of Prairie Urban Farm, and I want to take a little bit of time today to tell you a little bit more about who we are and how we operate. So to start with, who are we? We are a volunteer-based community farm located on the South Campus of University of Alberta. And we're also honored to be located on Treaty 6 territory, which is the traditional homeland of Assiniboine, Ojibwe, Cree, Métis, and many other Indigenous peoples who share this amazing place of the planet with us. We are located, as you can see on this map, on 118th Street, although once you get on the South Campus, the streets aren't all that well marked. So it's always a good idea to check us out on Google Maps if this will be your first trip here, but we aren't that hard to find after your first time, at least. We are just immediately south of 60th Avenue. You can reach us on foot from the South Campus LRT station, or you can, of course, reach us by car or bicycle. And we are sitting right in front of the dairy barn, which you'll see pretty obviously when you come to approach us on 118th Street. So we've got about 1.5 acres of land that we cultivate, and on that 1.5 acres, we grow a huge variety of fruit crops and vegetable crops, and both culinary and medicinal herbs, as well as pollinator and wildlife supporting plants. So our harvest is shared in 3 ways. Number one, amongst our volunteers, to show our appreciation for all the great work that they do. And number two, among several organizations serving the food insecure members of our community. And number three, with customers in our Market Box program, which generates funds to support our operation. Going too fast here. So this is our philosophy. We try to operate according to three basic principles. The first one is give and don't take. We evaluate all of our farm management and social activities with the intention to give to the land, to the ecosystem, and to the community. These days, giving is more important than ever, with so many people in our community affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Our second principle is inclusion. So our goal is to empower everyone, regardless of their race, their ethnicity, their gender, their age, their religion, their language, or their experience level, to come and join our community and play a more active and informed role in their relationship to food in whatever capacity they choose. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone deserves to feel valued, and that's our goal at Prairie Urban Farm. And then the third principle is contributing to positive change. Adding directly to local fresh food available in our community is certainly a great and very satisfying goal to be able to achieve. But our real goal, I would have to say, is much bigger. Our goal at Prairie Urban Farm is to do what we can to basically try to encourage changes in our agri-food systems. We want to play a positive role in ensuring that our agri-food systems can continue to provide food security and do so in environmentally beneficial ways. Okay, so the way it works, our regular work sessions are held each week. We have several throughout the week. And for each work session, we have mentors on hand who can help to coordinate activities, answer most, but maybe not all questions, and just to keep us all on track. We also have a number of special activities to get involved in. So it's not all just about the regular sort of farm management activities. No experience required. There are no minimum hours either. I know everyone has, just crazy schedules, and we have some people who come out several times a week And then we have other volunteers who we are lucky to only see a couple of times of summer. And we appreciate everyone who comes and gives whatever time that they have. And when you come to work, then you get to take home some fresh produce as well. So here's just a sampling of some of the activities that we get involved in throughout the course of the season. Farm management is obviously a big one. There's tons to do here, and especially since we do everything we can to avoid using heavy equipment, and we also don't use chemicals like pesticides and herbicides, and we have such an incredibly diverse farm that translates into a pretty labor-intensive farm operation. So there's always tons to do in the area of farm management, but it's not the only thing that's involved. We also regularly have building projects. So whether that's building raised beds or compost bins, we also seek to hold regular activities that are intended to support learning or perhaps experimentation. So if anybody who's really keen to, develop some new ideas on soil fertilization, and they want to run a little model out on our farm, we welcome those activities. There's also once a week, we prepare a market box for our weekly market box program. And so that involves harvesting and cleaning and packaging our produce once a week. We also rely on our volunteers to help us deliver food donations. And then of course, there's event organizing and facilitation and education and outreach activities. Okay, so when it comes to taking home produce, that's one of the things that we enjoy the most, is to be able to share fresh produce with our volunteers. And it never fails, it seems, that volunteers come across a crop that they have never tried before at the farm, and they take it home and give it a try for the first time. So we love to do so. We also love to be able to provide produce to those in need, and also ensure that we've got sufficient produce for a market to generate funding. So at the end of each session, time will be set aside for harvesting, but you're not permitted to come to the farm and harvest at other times. And we tend to work on the honor system such that we encourage people to sort of gauge how much time they've been spending at the farm, and only take according to what they have given in the form of volunteer hours at the farm. Okay, so this is what a typical work session would look like. So after you get signed up, you arrive at the farm at the beginning of a work session. You'll check in at the shed with your mentors, and then you'll talk about the tasks that need to be done for that day, and who wants to do what. And then we break up into groups. Now, although you can take a break anytime, mentors will also encourage you to take regular breaks to cool off and hydrate. We do oftentimes end up working pretty hard, and it can get pretty hot, and we're in the full sun, and we do want to make sure that everybody stays safe. And at the end of the session, we'll ask everybody to clean your tools, the tools that you've used, basically using a disinfectant or a bleach solution, and then return them to the shed. Then you'll have some time to harvest for your personal consumption. And we also encourage people to, share their observations, either with volunteers on the farm with you that day. We also have an observations journal that we set up for anyone to just sort of share their thoughts and their experiences to pass on to others. Okay, so we also have some protocols that we have put into place to make sure everybody stays safe during the global pandemic. And that includes a number of things that we had to institute our safety protocols for the first time last year, and everything went fine, and we really had no disruptions, I would say, to our practices. So they involve basically 6 main things. One is practicing social distancing of at least 2 meters. when at all possible. And number two, all volunteers should bring a mask for use when social distancing is not possible. There are just some activities that we will end up doing, whether it's harvesting or cleaning out the shed, where it's just impossible to stay at least 2 meters apart. So we want to make sure that we've got masks for those occurrences. Everyone also must fill out a COVID survey prior to each visit to the farm. I'll tell you a little bit more about how to do that in a minute. And then we'll work in groups of not more than 10 people per group. This is the current provincial requirement now. So because we're large and we have 2 main plots that we can be working on at one time, we will be permitted to have a total of 2 groups on site working on the farm in different places. So a maximum of 20 people at any given work session. And then our tool handles need to be cleaned and disinfected. I already mentioned that. And then finally, even though this isn't strictly COVID related, I'm throwing it here in here now, everyone needs to sign a waiver form on their first visit to the farm. And then we put that waiver on file, and that's good for the rest of the season. Okay, so here's what you need to bring. A hat is not a requirement, but it's always a good idea, particularly for those of us who are sensitive to the sun. And boots are not necessarily required either, but I've seen a lot of people get some, what seemed to me at least to be decent shoes, get ruined at the farm because it does get pretty dusty and sometimes muddy. So I recommend you bring an old pair of boots or a pair of work boots if you've got them. The other 3 things are basic necessities. So you're going to have to bring these along. One is the mask, which I've already mentioned. Another one is a set of work gloves. We used to have work gloves on hand at the farm and we would share them. That's just not safe right now. And so we ask everybody to bring their own gloves. We do have some spares at the farm, which we can donate until they run out. But you know, once you receive a donated pair of gloves from the farm, those will be yours for the season. We want to make sure you don't return them to the bin, so we don't unintentionally pass them on to somebody else before they've been cleaned. And then finally, water. We don't have a running drinking water source at the farm, so it's absolutely critical that everybody brings plenty of drinking water for them for their work sessions. All right, so what's next? In order to abide by our group size limits, volunteers need to sign up for each work session. So we will be using Eventbrite for signups, and work sessions for each week will be finalized on Sunday evening. So you can basically log into our site, which is just puf.eventbrite.com. And there you'll see the schedule of work sessions that have been posted so far. You'll see some of them are repeating and some of them will be special events, and you'll see it's kind of the description of what that special event might be. Maybe it will be, you know, we're going to work on orchard management today, or work on building raised beds or something like that. And so when you go to sign up for a given session, at that point, you will be required to fill out a COVID survey in order to complete your sign up process. So that's where it comes in. The COVID survey is the same kind of survey I'm sure that we've all become accustomed to now, where you're just going to be asked, you know, kind of a routine set of questions about how you're feeling and your recent travel experiences, and you know, whether you've been exposed to someone with COVID and so forth. It should just take 30 seconds. I think we've all become quite used to them by now. And then we also recommend that you follow our site. You can, when you log into Eventbrite, you can hit follow, and then you'll get notices of regular updates. You can sign up for more than one session at once while you're there if you like. But we do encourage you, if you have signed up and then you figure out that you can't make it, please go back in and cancel your ticket if you're not able to come, so that someone else can take your spot. Okay, so the way that we do communications with our volunteers is we've got two main channels, two main ways that we communicate. The first and our main form of communication is through email. So I encourage you, if you haven't done that already, to please sign up to be on our email list. You can do that right on our webpage. And then you'll receive our regular communications and updates and announcements and things of that sort. You can also use Slack app for additional communications and for information sharing. We have a number of different channels on our Slack site. And particularly, this is where we share lots of knowledge and information and local observations of things going on at the farm. And of course, you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you today. So if you have any further questions, please look us up. You can send me an email at deborah.davidson@ualberta.ca. And we're hoping to get started real soon.